It's going down. Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachah Wadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect of Yahweh. Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. I'm going to go ahead and play this video.
Now we turn to Nick Schifrin, who picks up our reporting on the global food crisis.
And for more on the challenges not only in South Sudan, but all of East Africa, and a larger look at some of the issues coming out of the Ukraine war, I'm joined by the Executive Director of the World Food Program, David Beasley. David Beasley, welcome back to the News Hour. Thank you very much. We just heard in that story that WFP has less than half of the money it needs in South Sudan, and Fred reported that some people will actually go hungry at the end of the month if that money doesn't come in. How acute is that problem?
It's a very serious problem, and it's a very serious problem all over the world, Nick, and we're facing an unprecedented food crisis globally. South Sudan is no exception to the rule right now. You know, the Republicans and Democrats have been fighting over everything, agreeing on nothing, but they did just come together. A miracle on Pennsylvania Avenue. They came up with an additional $5 billion for food security around the world. That's going to have a major, major impact, and we got to get more nations to step up because, as you're saying, South Sudan, we don't have enough money. The U.S. can't do it alone. The other countries need to step up, particularly the Gulf states, with oil prices being so high. Their net profits increase in billions of dollars per week. There's no reason at all, especially the Gulf states, to step up in countries in their region, like Somalia and Ethiopia and Syria and Yemen, places like that.
And so let's look at the larger question of East Africa. The UN says as many as 37 million people across 7 countries, from Djibouti to Uganda, are expected.
$5 billion in food aid is not going to be enough
to face acute food security this year. You were recently in Somalia, where we have seen a 260% increase in children under 5 with severe malnutrition.
And who's responsible for that? Okay? The Edomites are, okay? The ones in power, the ones in rulership. They're responsible for this global food crisis.
Look at the regional challenge. How overwhelming does it seem?
It's hard.
And when I say the Edomites, I'm talking about the so-called elites trickling down to the rest of their nation of people. Okay, but namely the so-called global elites. Okay, they're the ones responsible for this looming global food crisis. Okay, because we must also be reminded of how the so-called elites through the Illuminati by these different governments in these different countries have been hiring agents to go around and burn down or destroy certain food factories or food corporations that are responsible for processing your foods and putting them on the back of food trucks so they can be delivered to your grocery stores. Okay, and a matter of fact, you know, some of my most favorite chips that I used to buy, I don't even see on the shelves anymore. Okay? A lot of my most favorite chips I don't even see on the shelves anymore, you know. There's a lot of chips that I don't see anymore. You know? I mean, so it shouldn't be no surprise that the price on meat is going up, the price on cereal is going up, the price on oatmeal is going up, the price on food in general is going up. Because there are agents that have been hired by the government, by these different governments around the world, to burn down or destroy food factories or food corporations responsible for chopping and packaging your foods. so they can be sold to your markets. And then on top of that, farmers are being paid to kill off their chickens, their turkeys, their cattle, and now you got farmers coming out saying that cattle are not growing fast enough, so they got to pump them up with antibiotics. Well, they got to pump them up with biotics, with steroids, so they can grow quicker. And that's unnatural. You can kill an animal, can die off even quicker that way. And the scriptures speak about, eating from an animal that has died of itself. You're not supposed to do that. But here it is, it could be a dead cattle or a dead cow. It could be a dead sheep, whatever. They'll still chop up the animal and sell the meat anyway, risking people getting food poisoning.
Breaking. You can't believe this has happened in 2022, and here we are with you just came out of, you've got conflict, you have climate shocks, you have COVID economic ripple effect, then you've got oil prices, lack of fertilizer, and the Ukrainian crisis just on top of everything. It's like
and that's another thing too, a lack of fertilizer. Fertilizer is, which a lot of this fertilizer is made from cow dung, okay, which you're not supposed to use cow dung to grow your crops. But the lack of fertilizer too, farmers, because there is also a fertilizer shortage, which fertilizer is used to grow crops much quickly. So because of the lack of fertilizer, it's taking crops much longer to grow. On top of that, we got to also remember that the Lord is causing a drought. So a lot of these vineyards are being scorched. A lot of these vineyards are being scorched. They're not receiving enough rainwater to grow vineyards of vegetables and fruits and all that stuff.
Tsunami on top of a tsunami. I was just in, literally the last few days, in the drought-stricken areas of Somalia, as well as northern Kenya, and as well as Ethiopia. In many of these places, Nick, their livelihood is 100% livestock, and their livestock are dying by the millions as we speak. And I literally was talking to mothers and fathers who are just heartbroken. They have no money, they have no hope. I said, what happens if the World Food Program is not there? If we don't come in with relief? And mother after mother said, we'll start dying like the animals. And Nick, if we don't come in, it's not just that people...
Well, the scriptures liken you people unto beasts anyway.
Will die. You'll have destabilization, radicalization, and you'll have mass migration. And these alone will cost 1,000 times more than coming in and helping people stabilize their lives and giving them some hope.
And $5 billion in food aid is not going to do shit, okay? 37 million people alone in one part of the continent of Africa
at a time
is in a food emergency.
Like this.
We're talking about failure to get some funding, especially.
So the Lord is bringing this thing, man. Okay. Now this was recent. Okay. This was uploaded on the 22nd of August. Okay. Now, is a global food crisis mentioned in the Holy Scriptures? Absolutely. And a matter of fact, if we come over here, this is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 15, verse 5. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world. Now let's see what kind of plagues the Lord is going to bring upon the world. The sword, famine. What is a famine? A famine is a global food shortage, a global food crisis. Okay? It says death and destruction. And why is the Lord going to do all this? Okay, why is the Lord going to do all this? For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Okay? Yahweh, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, prophesied of a famine. Okay? Matthew 24 verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. So in many different places around the globe, there's going to be what? There's going to be a food shortage. Okay? So even if the so-called elites are hiring agents to, even if the so-called elites through the Illuminati by these different governments are hiring agents to burn down or destroy food corporations around the globe, even if the governments around the world are paying these farmers to kill off their animals, to burn off their crops. Okay, that is the Lord bringing the famine on the left hand side, because the Lord deals with balance. He operates on the left hand side as well as the right hand side. So on the left hand side, the Lord is using the Edomites to bring this famine. Okay, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Okay.
In East Africa, but the International Rescue Committee recently pointed out the appeal for Ukraine was 85% funded. Why do you think there's such a disparity?
Yeah, I don't know. I know I've been fighting hard to get dollars. A starving child, I don't care.